Dylan, have you noticed I've been ignoring you on text messages?
I have.
Yeah.
That's why
I wanted to see what would happen
that's why I'm leaving.
if I went 24 hours. Oh, wow.
I'm back.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe a little heart palpitation.
Yeah. I just wanted to dump you publicly is what was happening there.
No.
Sorry.
Peter, you should get on this. So our buddy, friend of the show, Paul Gags, likes to send us pictures of all of the different meat concoctions he puts together. What was it last night? Like a prime rib or
It was a ribeye. Then I think he did what's the thing where you put
rotisserie.
String? Yeah. But you put the string on it so you get it all like compact, the meat, and then rotisseried it, and
you tie it together.
Looked delicious. There's meat juice everywhere underneath of it. So that's a good sign.
Things are going too well for him if he's rotisserieing prime rib on a Monday night.
I mean, it was a holiday and all, so maybe.
Was it? Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Listen, we got a lot going on at Age of the MGA where we don't have time for holidays, Dylan.
Yeah.
Or did you take the day off yesterday?
I didn't. I had lots of meetings.
Peter, no bank holiday in the UK yesterday.
No.
Peter was working hard. I was working hard. Dylan, what were you doing? Shooting some guns?
No. We're not allowed to do that in Virginia anymore. So
Dylan has Dylan and I are on different ends of the political spectrum, but
I'm not on the end of any spectrum. I'm somewhere way more in the middle.
Whatever,
to be fair,
whatever.
Did you say political or disability spectrum?
A little of both.
Yeah. Although Dylan and I would be on the same side of probably the wrong end. Dylan, for like the last 3 months, has been trying to get me worked up about the Netherlands, and I wouldn't take the bait. But now there's retribution in Virginia for all of his foibles. By the way, hey, so World Cup, guys, that's coming up soon. There's been a lot of adverts for it on the television. We have three-way team here of or 3 conflicts. You got USA for Dylan, got England for Peter, and we got the Netherlands for myself. And I feel bad for both of you. Because
yeah, you gonna go to any games?
I put in for some tickets. Yeah,
there's tons of venues on the East Coast there. So yeah. I think there's 11 total cities, and there's Boston, Philly, New York, New Jersey, really Jersey, right? Mm-hmm. Weird place to put a World Cup game. We got Miami and Atlanta.
Stadiums right? There. There's really nice. Right on the River Trent.
The River Trent.
Is that what it's? What's it? This River Trent is in England, but Trent, I think it's Newark.
We just
Newark in New Jersey. I think it's Trent, the Trent River. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. There's a really nice soccer stadium right next to Newark. I went to law school in Newark, and they were building it at the time. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
good place to go watch.
We walked through there at like -3 degrees together, Doug.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. We went to a hockey game.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Peter, you should move to the U.S. So you can hang out.
He's like, no way.
He's like, no and no.
As he sits in southern Spain.
Exactly. Yeah. Just fact checking as we do on this podcast. It doesn't appear that Newark is on the Trent. I can confirm, Doug, that Newark on Trent in the UK is on the Trent.
Right, that is. I was just in Newark a few weeks ago in England. I do know that it's right next to massive piles of garbage, so that's true. And probably a lot of dead people, like dead gangsters.
Do you know what's funny as well is people listen to the Age of the MJ, very few people, and they must think, how do these guys do this introduction? And what they don't know is this is almost rehearsed for 5 minutes before this actually gets recorded. So just to make it even worse.
Yeah.
No,
this really was rehearsed. It's really.
Should we move on to the guest?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, we don't really have that great of a guest today. So.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
He's just the producer of our show. It's no big deal.
Yeah, he said I'm testing him to see if he actually removes anything from our stuff.
Oh, I like it.
Content. All right, listen. I'm going to do like this guy deserves a really big intro.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
He's working on something very cool that he's going to tell us about. He's very distribution minded, which I love. Helps MGAs think about how to build distribution. Rumor has it that he helped engineer Aaron Rodgers coming to Pittsburgh, his big NFL team. I don't know if that's true or not, but we'll find out. When he's not producing great video content on LinkedIn, he's bouldering 14,000 peaks, doing waterfall shots with very tight clothes on. It looks good. Guy's in great shape. We're going to learn about his workout regimen.
That's true.
And listen, like I said, this is one of the smartest guys on distribution, and we're going to learn about a very interesting model that he's building, whatever he's willing to share. Guys, let's bring Rob Jacomen on.
Jeez, what's going on, guys? How are you guys doing? What an intro!
Listen, we're okay. Dylan's been better. Peter's top. Peter's doing perfect.
Peter's amazing. You know, he's just so chill. He's got that. He just has a swag to him. You know, like it's very unassuming.
Yeah, when he walks around ITC, he does it the Conor McGregor style with his arms all out. It's really impressive.
That's awesome.
What about you, Rob?
Thanks for
How are you
taking
doing?
some time to chat with us today.
I'm great. I love the chatter. I love the format of the show. Of course, I'm a big fan. You know, my team also helps produce this for you guys, and hopefully it's a decent product. I think you guys are a great product.
You have the difficult job of cleaning all this shit up.
Well, I was just thinking to myself as
we don't clean it up. That's the whole thing. So
it's very raw. And I was thinking to myself, you know, what parts am I going to cut out of this? I have full control over this entire show right now. So I can cut out what I want and what I want to keep. But I love, you know what, I want to take a step back, and I love the banter about the soccer. As you guys know, my son's a professional soccer player here in the US.
Wait, hold on. We did not know.
Doug, I've been to one of his games. Maybe you should actually get to know Rob.
Yeah, Dylan, maybe you could tell me some things.
Well, you know, you're excluded purposefully. So
all right, Rob. All right, well let's dig into that.
It was awesome.
So he plays for the team in Virginia.
He's a goalkeeper, right?
He started off at DC United in their academy program. So he's a goalkeeper. He's a beast. He's a big dude, and then just started in the USL Championship level, and then you know it's a industry where a lot of these guys migrate from team to team until they find their place. So right now he's on trial and training in Birmingham, Alabama with the Birmingham Legion.
Nice.
And also his roots are in Pittsburgh. So he trained in the off season with the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, which, you know, that's also the academy he was part of when he was growing up. And then now coming full circle, here he is living in Pittsburgh, training with the Riverhounds, who just won the USL Championship this past season. So it's actually really cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know none of that. I blame Dylan, of course,
Yeah.
for not telling me anything, or even letting me know there was an invite to a game, Dylan. I would have happily come.
Oh no, you
didn't want me to
you're
come.
Excluded. So
Yeah, I get it.
I have to say this, Doug, the most amazing experience is when, so I invited my closest tribe down to Richmond to go watch my son play against the Richmond Strikers. And it's a great environment. It's a beautiful city. And, you know, we met ahead of time. So we met ahead of time at this Italian place. And I have to tell you, the most amazing experience I ever had was sitting down with Dylan and his family and our little tribe there in the back of a pizza shop. And the amount of food that came out on the table, I'm not even kidding you. There was no place to even eat. There was the entire table was full. I think we had 2 tables, didn't we, Dylan?
We had, it was a massive series of tables we put together. Yes. And I think we added to it as more people showed up. I think your son's girlfriend showed up and we added another table. So yeah, it was good.
Great. It was great.
Cool. That's very
cool.
Yeah, I had no idea. now I know I'm going to do some research after this. I mean, I do feel bad again for the U.S. and for England. Any fans that support those teams because of what the Netherlands is going to do to those teams and many others in a few months here. But listen, it's all for fun. So,
well, I'll throw another curveball in here. I'm actually a Belgian fan as well because my dad was born and raised in Belgium. So, you know, there's a tradition out there in Europe. There's some powerhouse teams. You know, you have France, you have Belgium, you have the Netherlands, you have England. You know, it's Germany. You have quite a tradition out there. So, I guess we all have our team.
Well, listen, if you guys ever want to go to the Netherlands and watch some football, would happily organize a trip. Peter, I'm sure you do the same. Peter, who do you support, by the way, in the Premier League?
I don't support anyone in the Premier League. My team is in the second division, Norwich City, struggling in the second division. Actually, at the minute in the positions to go down to the third division, so not going well. But,
maybe you should spend more money.
We're very occasionally in the Premier League. We do have an American owner, Mark Atanasio, who owns the Milwaukee Brewers. Owns Norwich City. Yeah,
interesting.
That's why you're bad at soccer, is because you had an American running it. So
we spend a lot of money, but don't use it very well. Yeah,
that's what we do. That's what we do.
Boy,
sounds like Virginia. Sorry, Dylan. I had to like dig in there a little bit. Rob, all right, let's dig in. I want to hear about what you got cooking, whatever you're willing to share. The big takeaway I had in kind of looking at you, like I could tell the distribution side is the way you think about it. And so a couple questions I have first before we get into it. One, are you above or below $40 million in ARR? And follow up to that, if you're below, why are you even doing this? Because you need ARR. Everybody knows that's the MGA, insurance equivalent component. That's the most important thing. That's what I read on LinkedIn. 40 million ARR. There's a company that's doing it. If you are not, sorry, Rob. Second, how quickly are you going to destroy all brokers and make them irrelevant? That's the other question that I have.
Oh, yeah. I see where you're going with this.
Yeah,
I see.
So we can dig into those whenever you want.
Million yet is the question.
But no, in all seriousness, what I read last night, and I won't share. I'm going to let you share. Whatever you're comfortable sharing. You could tell that you have the distribution angle down. That's the way you're thinking about it. How you let risk come in. How you're categorizing risk. How you're thinking about growth. All the things that you've been preaching, like if anybody follows you on LinkedIn, which you should be following Rob on LinkedIn if you're not, I'd imagine all the lessons you've kind of learned helping MGAs over the last few years here, you're now applying to to a specific type of risk, which I think is interesting. So yeah, let's dig into the extent you're willing to.
That I'm willing to share.
yeah, whatever's not a trade secret yet.
That's such an interesting. I thought about that as you were talking, and I'm thinking to myself, what's really a trade secret? Because even like I'm not that smart. I'm a nerdy engineer by training, but I think I figured out a few things right along the way, and I think it's only because of the experience that I've had in the distribution channel. And I started off in the broker channel, as you guys know, and spent my 20 plus years of my career on the broker side, working for agencies, launching my own risk management firm, starting my own agency, selling to a bank-owned agency. So there's a lot of moving parts and so when you look at the distribution channel, and I just had this conversation with Peter, everyone thinks that they can get in the insurance industry, and it's like, oh, well, we're just going to get into it and we're just going to start selling policies. And it's just not that easy. It's a very complex and a very sophisticated system. When you look at it, when you really look at distribution, and that's really what we're talking about here. And I think we've come up with some really interesting solutions and have seen some results and some success working in that channel. But it's not just an MGA play here. What I'm really looking at is the entire distribution channel as a whole. And when you look at it and understand how it works, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. A lot of things that can break. There's a lot of constraints. And what I really believe, and here's really the premise of why I even got into this. I never planned on launching an MGA ever. I love advising founders. I love working with brokers. I love working at the wholesale level, even with aggregators. I love helping them scale distribution and sales. But what I really understood was when you look at,
I just wanted to bring that up. Sorry, I didn't mean to put it up right now. This is you talking. This is like you were talking about you. This is what you were doing, right? At this brokerage. Like this is early Rob working his stuff out.
Look at that guy, man. He's slim. He's handsome. He looks sharp.
Dude, you're jacked right now. Like I should share some other photos that
it's all that creatine, you know, like I listened to too many Andrew Huberman episodes. He talking about creatine and all these healthy things I'm supposed to do. So I try to follow it.
I got you off track here. I'm sorry. I got to learn how to use this software because I was going to pull this up later to show, but now it popped up. So get back on your track here.
I don't even remember where I was. I'll tell you. I'll tell you where I was. So when you look at the distribution channel in general, I think what I came to discover, and this is just because of my background on the broker side, is that the idea of building an MGA, I think the MGAs are way ahead of their time, and I'll explain what I mean by this, because I thought long and hard about this, and I've done plenty of homework. So what I really believe about the distribution channel, and if we're looking at MGAs in general, I don't think the broker channel was ready or prepared for the MGA explosion. And because the reason why I say that is because MGA by their nature is really something that's very niche. It's very focused on developing a product that solves a very specific problem in the marketplace, whether it be parametric or you have, some emerging cyber risk in a very specific industry. And we're like, gosh, we can create a great product around that and solve that particular problem. I don't think the broker channel was really prepared for it. The reason I say that is because MGAs have been forcing this idea of specialization down through the distribution channel to them. And by their very nature, I know this because I was on the broker side. They're generalists. They have a generalist mindset. So they have this quote mentality without really understanding how to diagnose risk and how to really understand like what is driving claims, what is driving risk management best practices. I don't know that the average broker truly understands the first thing about risk management and what it means to be proactive in that area. And the whole idea of the distribution channel is it's a capital allocation system that's really designed to have governance and controls. And the broker's mentality is, well, I just got to check off the box. I got to get this submission in. I've got all this pressure. I've got 53 different carrier appointments that I got to feed all these mouths. And I don't think that anyone was really ready at the broker level for the true specialization that the MGA ecosystem brings to that channel. So with that premise being said, I learned a lot from you, Dylan, and talking to you, Peter, and you guys have some amazing guests on the show. And so it has been an absolute laboratory for me to have an opportunity to see so many amazing guests on the show who are way smarter than me, who have way more experience than I do. But I think what I found is there's an opportunity, and there's really an opportunity in a very specific segment of the marketplace. And I'm happy to elaborate on that further, but I just want to stop there for a second because I dumped a lot on you guys and
yeah, I think it was very, very clear that you said you'd learned a lot from Dylan and from myself and nothing from Doug.
And not anything from me, which makes it tracks. That makes perfect sense.
Hey, Doug and I are having we're having our own private chat that you guys don't even know about. So
yeah,
he's very special.
Don't worry about it, Peter. We got shit brewing. So I like this idea of the generalist mentality of a broker, but also I feel like right now, and so we're we're trying to make his deal right now. Mark Flippin, who I love, like his content is great. Mark, but he's a specialist, right? And I think he's he's one of the few that have figured this out. Or I have another buddy who, my old co-founder, Dylan, our old co-founder, John Salvucci, right, who's kind of thinking the same way for more like tech enabled MGAs and brokerages, insure techs. Like these guys are building their niches where they figure out what they're really good at, how they can control that risk and find the right customers, and then find the markets on the other side. And I think both of them have chosen areas that, you know, can be quite large and probably have a lot of ancillary moves that can be made as well. But I agree, Rob, probably the generalist broker isn't in that mindset right now. So what you're trying to do is say, I can solve some of the problems, like what Mark and what John are really good at doing. I can actually help, our MGA can help them take on these types of customers and find them. Is that what I'm hearing? Like kind of giving that back to you?
Yeah. And I think that you see what I've seen in the market and what's happening right now is you see the market exploding. And I think it's partially due to the specialization movement, because there's a lot of organic growth for these new and emerging risks that people have said, hey, you know what, we can design a great product around this particular emerging risk or this problem that we see. And then there's the kind of like the legacy MJ model, which is like some of them really are struggling right now and are kind of hit this ceiling with their distribution, because they're really working in an environment where there aren't enough specialist brokers for them to really hunker down and say, how can we really expand our reach? How can we go deeper into these niches, these niche industries where our product is perfectly designed to solve that problem? They're trying to still be everything to everybody. So what happens is the brokers automatically, just because they're trained this way, they default to quoting. And so my mindset has been, hey, there's a different way to do this. And so the reason I even reached out to you guys in the first place was like, hey, I think I've got something that might be pretty cool, but I want to document this journey, which would be really cool because you guys bring on so many experienced people who already have these mature. Some of them have these very mature models. Some of them are still starting off. They're like these startups. But then, like, tell the story of someone who came to you with an idea, who's like, all right, I did my pitch last week. Here's how it went. Like, let's talk about that journey and all the things that are kind of unfolding and the things that I'm thinking about. And some of the people have come out of the woodwork who are like, hey, how can we help you? And I think if you put together with the right people and bringing together the right expertise, I think anybody can be successful in this market. And that's kind of what we're doing right now, is we're bringing together the best of the best who are the experts and specialists in each of their respective areas, and kind of bringing them together and saying, how can we launch this the right way from the beginning, but really focus on something that's hyper niche. Like, let's start off there instead of having this broad, like, oh, I can go after all these different markets and all these classes of business. Why don't we just focus on one thing and do it world class, and then go really deep and hyper specific on the product itself? Where is there the greatest opportunity? And then the last thing I'll say on this, Doug, is we also, from years of being in the broker channel, the one thing that I've learned is even MGAs in the carrier level, they don't really do a great job at helping brokers, empowering brokers on the risk management side. And Dylan, this is probably where you and I are going to nerd out, is how do you proactively manage risk? How do you bring those resources and those capabilities down through the distribution channel to help empower brokers, but to benefit the insureds, to help make them a better business by helping to put that moat around their business and give them all the things that they need, so that insurance, we're not leading with insurance. We're not leading with the insurance product. What we're leading with is a platform, a proactive risk management platform that's going to help improve that business, where insurance is kind of like the afterthought. It's the safety net, which is what insurance was designed for in the first place. So that's kind of like been the whole inspiration for launching this new MGA was really thinking about that model, all those different layers of risk management that build that moat, build that protection around a business where yes, when bad things happen, which they often do, things go south and things happen. Insurance then becomes that safety net for business to take advantage of that opportunity to be like, hey, I prepared for this situation. So again, I think I said a lot there. So
So Rob, Doug and I, when we were working on a previous MGA, were really focused on commercial auto, and one of the things that we brought into it was partnerships with dash cam companies. Driver Technologies is a good friend of the show as well. Those guys are great. We partnered with them in order to make sure that we're getting dash cams in every single vehicle. And why that's so important is because it really helps no matter whether you're at fault or not. So from the claims perspective, you have an accident, right? And just to be clear, their driver specifically has kind of ADAS features as well. So it gives front collision warnings. It's giving you information about your driving and about dangers, including trying to make sure that they understand that certain areas you're driving into may be more dangerous because of road conditions or whatever it may be. So there's the proactive side, but even then, once you get on you actually have a claim, you want the information related to a dash cam regardless of whether you're at fault or not, because if you're at fault, you can resolve the claim quickly. So many human beings just want to push fault off onto someone else. They don't want to admit fault. So your insured will very frequently tell you, hey, no, this wasn't me, this is them, and give a version of the story that makes it sound a lot like it was the other party's fault. Now your job is to defend that insured, right? That's the indemnity goes for defense as well, right? You've got the part of paying for a claim and resolving a claim is defending your insured from third parties. And so you're taking their side when you shouldn't be taking their side because they are at fault. And so knowing that information more quickly and not have, if let's just say you're on the other side, right? So you've got your insured telling you that the other party's at fault, but that third party, from their perspective, they feel like they're being screwed, right? They're in a position where they're being told they're at fault when they weren't at fault. And so rightfully so, they go off to a plaintiff attorney. That's one of the few times, Doug, I'm going to say that out loud and publicly, but they're going to go to a plaintiff attorney rightfully because they are feeling like they're being wronged in that case. But what's happening is the insured is just taking the side of the insurer is taking the side of the insured, and which is what they have to go off of, right? If there's no independent witness, there's no camera, they just what they have to do is defend that party. And so it sends it off into litigation. It makes everything more expensive and ruins everything. So having the information that you're at fault still benefits you because you can resolve claims very proactively and say, hey, this is our fault. Let's take care of those medicals for you. Let's get that car fixed for you immediately. We've got a shop here. It's going to give you a rental. Everything's going to be taken care of, and give that concierge service to your third party, and thereby reducing overall exposure by potentially multiples, right, of the claim paid.
Rob, you're building in an area now, which again, I'll let you share whether or not you want to talk about that area. But the example Dylan gave, I think 100 years or so of auto risk, more. I'm not sure how long. Auto's been around longer than a year. I don't know the insurance aspect of it, but we're hardwired now, I think, as consumers of auto to be like, we don't want to be at fault. And so if you could imagine, like if you had all of that technology back when auto insurance started, I think maybe we could change the mindset of consumers, be like, yeah, that was my fault. I understand that I can get this done quickly. I drive, it's an inherently dangerous act. I'm going to get into accidents, based on the number of miles that I drive. But it's so difficult, I think, to change people's mindset on that now versus like, I think what you're doing, I think you're earlier in that area, and maybe there's not as much negativity around being at fault. It's not necessarily something you did wrong. It's like protections that you're taking. So I think you can change that risk component. And to the extent that you want to talk a little bit more about that, I think that's interesting, like where you're playing right now.
Well, I think is kind of plays into my background in risk management in that I really believe that if you can be proactive about risk management and have these layers, I mean, you're right. Humans make mistakes. It's the number one. If you look at, and let's talk about the MGA. So 2 weeks ago, I did a Shark Tank version of, this MGA Shark Tank version of a pitch. I spent weeks, developing this pitch, and I tried to figure out, what problem are we really solving here? Like, I knew I had the idea, I had the relationships. I also knew, and I know this is really going to resonate with you guys, is rather than building from a product-led approach or an underwriting-led approach, I thought to myself, let's reverse engineer that. And Doug, this ties into what you're talking about. I thought about, hey, if I build this from the insured first mindset and make this more distribution led, we can design a product around the true problems that we can help to solve for an insured. So, but what does that mean? It means that in an industry, and the name of the name, at least the initial name right now we have is, this is how new this is to us, is Coveritas, which is where coverage, the whole idea of that name was where coverage meets truth. And in an industry, the industry we're focused on is the RIA space, which is the registered investment advisor space, who are fiduciaries. So when you look at that industry, there's a lot of moving parts because these guys have to deal with compliance. They have to deal with the regulatory environment. They've got all these different things that they have to be first and foremost concerned about risk. They're fiduciaries. That's their responsibility. So when you think about, they can't just check a box and say, well, you know what? Let's just check that box. We just need a bunch of quotes for our insurance. It's just the cost of doing business. They can't think and act that way. And so I saw an opportunity in this cyberspace, and I know I get a lot of rolling eyes sometimes when you think, gosh, the last thing we need is another cyber MGA, right? And I believe there is an opportunity for that, for a really risk-focused and minded model that's really built around the existing risks and exposures and the regulatory requirements and the compliance issues that are faced by that industry. There isn't currently a cyber product that is really built around, number one, that unique industry. It's not really built. There aren't any products that are built for fiduciaries with their unique risks and exposures. Not to mention the consideration for all the different layers that you could put. So Dylan, you had a great point. Go out and find strategic partners that you can embed in your model that solves very specific problems before insurance is even an issue. So that, do they have the right IT and MSPs in place? Do they, that's one layer. Do they have the right compliance documentation? Because in this industry, they're required to demonstrate and prove that the things that they have in place are in compliant with the SEC requirements. So there has to be proof. And then the other layer, which is here's where it gets really interesting. The other layer is, and I don't think MGAs do a very good job of this because I came on from the broker side, so I know. Very few actually talk about risk management or what are risk management best practices for this industry. What are some resources that I can provide? And Dylan, here's the point. As an MGA, I think you have an obligation or responsibility to provide those types of resources, not only to the broker channel and help educate them on what proactive risk management really is, and then translate that to the insured, like transfer that knowledge, transfer that experience, transfer those resources to the insured to empower them to be better. And what I mean by that is if you look at the cyberspace, the number one exposure is your employees, right? So if you don't have proper training in place, if you don't keep your finger on that pulse all the time and you're constantly being on the lookout for threats or gosh, with AI now you can clone in a person, and it sounds and acts like Doug, for example, right? He's like, hey, can you transfer $3 million over to this account? And it sounds like Doug, talks like Doug, looks like Doug. So there's a lot of these emerging risks, and we need to really empower employees. We need to empower the broker channel to be more proactive with coming up with a game plan, coming up with a strategy, but not just having it on paper, actually executing on the ground troop level, where it's like, you have these things in place. You can document and show proof that you are executing these best practices. So that's kind of how the model is built. It's built around this idea of the business is the fortress, and all you're really doing is you're building these layers of with this moat. And the idea is, by the time something bad happens, not only is this favorable for investors and your capacity partners, because you're really focused on helping make a business lower risk, higher value. You're really helping to build trust with them and their team, and you've got proactive risk management best practices in place, and good quality, high quality underwriting controls. And the whole idea of our model is, we do not insure unmanaged risk. And I'll just let that sit with you guys for a minute, because that's really what the whole model is built on.
So how are you thinking about the distribution angle here? Is this like a super tool? My old co-founder, John, who's a great independent agent, he always talks about the tools, the tool belt for the agent, and what they can use to leverage either additional revenue streams from a customer, or solve specific problems that maybe other agents can't. Is that how you're thinking about this? Like, you can go to a generalist agent now and say, listen, I don't care what, well, if you're working with RIAs, like, here is a specific thing that is very much needed by them that's going to help you get other parts of their business, and either allow you to build a niche here, or is the thought that you're going to be able to go to a generalist and say, listen, you can start building an RIA practice for your area, right? Your city or the state that you're operating in, or is it both?
Well, I think it's when you're, this is a great question, Doug, because I think as we start off as new entrepreneurs in a new area, because this is a brand new area for me, even though I've been consulting with MGAs and working with brokers and, working the space for over 20 years, we're always learning new things. And again, as I said, I never intended to launch an MGA. I just said to myself, wait a minute, if our shit works as good as it's been working for others, why the hell am I not doing this myself? Like, why am I not going to build something myself and bring together the best of the best? Like, literally, I have connections in every possible area that could be successful in building an MGA. And I'm thinking to myself, well, why don't I just bring together everybody, including the distribution strategy is only work with specialists. So go out and find, like, one of my biggest clients who's been with me for a long time. All they do is they specialize in RIAs. And you brought up my buddy Mark Flippin. Mark specializes in, he has got an area of expertise and specialty. He and I text on a regular basis, and we're constantly sharing ideas and insights and, hey, what's working, what's not working? Hey, what are you seeing in the market? And that's the beauty of this industry, is that when you have all these relationships and connections, that's where you start to see that there are opportunities to really be more successful and go after opportunities that you never would have before. But because you've built these relationships and you've built these partnerships, and that's how this model is being built on the distribution side. First and foremost, we work with specialists. That's number one. So we want to aggregate homogenous books of business with those who already have an established book of business, as well as those partners. There's a partnership strategy to this, not the embedded side, but the partnership strategy to expand distribution organically is to go out and find those who are already doing business with our dream customer. So if our dream customers are an RIA, who's already doing business with RIAs? Well, you have compliance firms, you have broker dealers, You have, SaaS companies. You have those who are selling CRMs and AI solutions and all these different things that somebody who's already doing business has a relationship with an RIA. That becomes part of the distribution strategy. So when you look at it, there's two ways to really grow this and how we're thinking about the growth, because we're not there yet. We haven't even launched a product. Think about it from who has an existing book of business that we could design a product around the customer and what they need and what they're looking for, and solve the problem of this continuity between the current market and the broker channel, which is a whole different discussion. The connectivity between broker and MGA has its own inherent challenges. And so we're also learning, hey, we're actually talking to brokers. We're talking to insureds. And I don't think enough MGA founders have done that, because a lot of them, yes, they come from an underwriting background. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I think that's actually a good thing for underwriting excellence and having that solid foundation, but it's just not enough. You have to understand distribution. You have to understand who's your customer. As an MGA, you have three different customers. You have the insured, direct to consumer. You have an insured, and I'm not saying sell direct to consumer. I'm saying you have to understand your customer's problems first. What are the risks? What are the profit risks? What are the profit exposures? You have the broker channel. They're customers too. But then you have your capacity partners and your investors. They are customers in that entire distribution model. So you've got a lot of work to do as an MGA to really, kind of take care of everybody who's a customer. But that's all part of the ecosystem. That's all part of how we're envisioning building this ecosystem within this tiny little niche that exists in the marketplace. And I love that, Rob. A lot right there.
Well, so not enough people do, and I'll pick on the tech bros a little bit because I like to. It's fun. They don't think about that. They come in and maybe they know an area that they would like to see insurance solve for, but they usually skip the broker step, and they're like, well, why do I even have to pay 15 to 20% to these people who seemingly do nothing? And I'm just going to remove them and go direct to the consumer. And even if they're brilliant, the product's great, distribution's usually dead on arrival. They don't realize how important that aspect of it is, especially in more complex commercial. This isn't a personal auto product or even a renter's or homeowner's product, which I think has its own. We're not seeing the takeoff there, I think, that people thought we would see in the D2C model. So I love the knowledge that you have in here, the expertise that you're bringing to it. I mean, you're helping all these other MGAs do this, and you kind of found an area that you see as wanting for a product. So great stuff.
Yeah. So I actually have an add-on to that, because it's something I kind of forgot about, which we kind of touched on earlier. I think I think what's going to happen, and I don't know what you guys think about, like, how do you see the MGA market from here? There's a lot of growth that's happening. And again, I said I think there's a lot of organic growth, but I think the other thing is there's just a redistribution of capital. So I think you're seeing like the generalist carrier space for so many years. And now with these new and emerging, really niche focused MGAs that are also bringing into it the tech advantage that to me, tech's a strategic advantage. If you can bring that tech and make things more efficient and really digitize that experience without commoditizing your product. And I have the whole thing that I share on what I really believe is brokers. And the reason why I think the broker eventually, and I'm not going to say they're going to get pushed out, because this could be a very controversial episode if I start saying, oh my gosh, we're going to eliminate the broker. I'm not saying that. I still believe that people love having somebody who is a trusted advisor, build that relationship. But I really believe that the obligation, if the broker doesn't want to become extinct, they really have to learn the art of diagnosis. And what I mean by that is, walk into it. This is actually a great example. I came up with this the other day. It's nothing mind blowing, but think about this. In the medical industry, if you have a heart condition and you go to your doctor and say, hey, before we get started, I really want you to give me 3 quotes. Give me your 3 best markets that you've got. Give me 3 quotes on how you guys are going to help me fix my heart condition. And your generalist PC, your primary care physician, he's going to look at you like you have 3 heads. And he's going to go, that's not the way this works here. You know, I don't know anything about you. Like, I don't know what's the root cause of the problem. What I need to understand, I need to do a diagnosis. I need to run some blood work. You know what? I'm actually going to send you to a cardiologist because I'm not trained as a cardiologist. I need to send you to a cardiologist because they are specialists. They understand this way better than I do. And they are in the best position to provide you with the best diagnosis, a treatment plan, and then help you execute and put that to get like that treatment plan in place. It may be meaning you have to change your diet, or you have to get surgery, or you have to, get those things unclogged or whatever. But that's really been the mindset of our industry for so long. And I think where I'm going with that is you're going to start to really see this shift. And I hope it happens, the shift from this generalist mindset to specialty, bringing that specialization down through the distribution channel. And Doug, you actually brought up something interesting is, can you train a generalist to become a specialist? My answer to that is yes. If you have the right environment if you have the right training and the resources to bring to them, like we have a Niche Mastery Academy. A Niche Mastery Academy is designed for producers to basically who want to specialize, and we give them the platform, the education platform, to be able to train them on their area of expertise and specialty that they want to go after. That includes marketing. It includes sales. It includes mastering that industry like a tradesman. So there's a lot of things I think could happen in this market, but I don't know what you guys are seeing. I think you're going to see this continue to grow, but I think there is this redistribution of capital in the form of insurance contracts, obviously going more towards the specialty areas, but also I'm seeing some organic growth in these new and emerging areas like AI and parametric. And there's a lot of new and emerging risks that I think some people are coming up with some amazing products to solve very specific problems. And that's where I think the specialization becomes so important, is to truly understand what is it that you're doing? Like, what is it you're insuring here? Yeah. And what problems are you solving?
It'll be interesting. We have a soft market in some areas, and will specialty continue to grow? I believe that it will, but it will be an interesting couple of years here to see how this shakes out. Rob, your thoughts around specialization. I just did my CE begrudgingly for the mini licenses. I saw you have a lot of licenses. I think maybe I have a longer list. Don't want to brag, but there's a big component of we are professionals, right? We have these designations. We have to get certified, and I love your doctor analogy because that's true. You can't be a specialist in all these areas. You cannot know all of the different areas that you should be building like risk profiles or products around. And so if we truly want, if producers truly want to be specialists, or sorry, professionals, then I think we do have to start training specifically for areas, and risk is becoming more complex. The technology is giving us the ability to build more specific products, and no one person or business unit is going to be able to be specialized in all those areas. So the shakeout will be interesting, but I think we're on the right track. And if people truly are trying to become professionals versus just relationship managers or box checking, like I was doing on CE. I'm not selling insurance, by the way. It's more of something that I do for other reasons. But true producers should be figuring out what areas they're specialized in. I love going back to Mark. By the way, when you text him next, let him know we are, whatever it takes to get his deal done, green M&Ms, whatever it is, we're just trying to get him on the show. The guy is elusive, though. It's very difficult to pin down. I think Dylan, you're going to have to come out of pocket on this one, 5K maybe.
I'll come up with some ideas. I'll brainstorm. And
yeah, he's coming on. He's a busy guy. I get it.
He is. I actually have a question. If you guys if you guys don't mind, I have a question for Peter. Peter, we talked about, who was the most inspiring, one of the most inspiring guests, but the experience that I had, I mean, obviously my other company is, we have an amazing relationship with Lauro and Peter's company. And you guys are doing such amazing work and amazing things. And that experience I had working with John Songen, who obviously was one of your guests on the podcast before, he has a great story. And I love his thought process with how to build an MGA and how to work with your broker partners and how to drive high quality submissions and converting those submissions into bind orders and really scaling your revenue by really working with specialists and being hands-on with your brokers. Peter, I'd love to hear, like, he's been such an inspiration to me personally. Like I think I've watched that episode like 3 or 4 times, to be honest. Just so many great insights and great vision and a model.
Yeah. He's a great guy and they've been incredibly successful, but he's the archetypal specialist, as you say. I mean, his background was the industry. He had a huge passion for it, and he didn't even focus on, say, one product or one sector. He really dived into agricultural drone insurance. There's an opportunity here. I know how I'm going to bring this product, this sub product to market in a way that no one else can. And he grew it with great, I would say, in my non-biased way, with great technology. He grew it really well to reach all these people and just turned it into an incredible business. I've been listening to a lot of stuff you say about specialization, and I think the one thing I'd say to it, not to counter any of the points you've made, is there's a time and a place to specialize. And I think cyber, you talk about it now, is such an obvious one because it's an evolving landscape like nothing else, right? The nature of the risk changes almost on a daily basis as to what people are exposed for. And the subset of that risk based by industry type is incredibly nuanced and detailed. So I can understand it. What I would warn people against is perhaps if you specialized in an area that just doesn't have a market size, you do have to be very conscious in our industry, rightly or wrongly, that you could be swallowed up by some of these immense warships of specialists that are out there that could just service these things in a acceptable, if not perfect way.
I agree. Which is what you really want to, at some point you get to a point where you reach your TAM. There's this total addressable market where it's like, man, have I exhausted all the products I could potentially offer to this market? Have I exhausted that market in general? But then you start thinking about, and I do this with brokers too, is let's incorporate the idea of niche, what I call niche stacking, which is, all right, we've exhausted one area. We've learned how to scale that particular class of business or that market. Now let's go after another area that might be either complementary. Like, for example, if you have HVAC and plumbing, that's a great combination. So if you know how to do it with one, you can probably scale with another. And then maybe, we'll go into working with GCs. And then when we work with GCs, we then get the opportunity to see all the subcontractors they're working with. And then we can get into the trades. So I think I agree with you, Peter. I think over time, like, get really good at one thing and do it world-class, but then don't stop there. Continue to grow and to scale by learning what you learn to do to scale one area and become a master in one area. Now go and master another area and grow and scale that. So you kind of diversify your book, but you still keep them in their silos. So yes, you can still call yourself an expert and a specialist in this area and this area and this area without giving the appearance of being this like generalist who's running a flower shop one day, an excavation contractor the next day, or, a tool and die manufacturer the next day. You really become a master in each of these different areas. And it does help you to diversify your book. I think it makes it more valuable too.
And Rob, what you just said, I think is happening. I think take that to a macro scale. That's what fronting carriers are doing right now, right? They're collecting MGAs that are specializing. So they're niche stacking, but doing it with MGAs. So I think, why we've seen such a push over to MGAs and more fronting carriers and more carriers just interested in creating some kind of fronting arrangement is because they're able to cut those off very quickly. They can limit their risk in the future. They don't have a whole bunch of employees. They're giving access. It's a contract to them. So they're getting essentially a contractor to do all this work, and they can shut that off very, very quickly if it's non-performing, unlike laying off a huge division that they've then took all this money to build and scale, and then have to cut all that off. It's a much bigger deal. So I feel like that's a good reason that we're seeing this grow, MGAs grow, is because there's more and more of an appetite for essentially having contractors do it all for you, and being much more nimble, because you can turn on a contractor and turn off a contractor very, very quickly.
It's true. And if I could just go back to Dylan, that's a great point. If I go back to the journey, the story, and where I am right now. So where I am right now is I just did the pitch, right? I just did one pitch so far in front of a group of investors and amazing people at Moonshot Foundry, which it's a group that I met just from the relationships. I was introduced to a few of these guys, and they're just amazing because they've really brought together all the best people in all these different areas who, like you guys are a great mix of, Peter's got this amazing tech platform, and Doug, you have this compliance and licensing platform. Dylan, you're like risk management and claims, and that's your area of expertise. What I think is so incredibly cool about this industry is that you can bring the best of the best around and build something really awesome, and build something that's really cool, and massively increase your level of the potential success. Because I'll tell you right now, my biggest takeaway from all this, going through this entire process and the late nights and staying up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, which you guys can see some of my Slack messages. This is not easy. It is not as easy as just putting up a shingle and saying, hey, I'm going to launch an MGA. Because I hear a lot of people talking about it. Some people just don't understand how hard it really is. And to bring together all the moving parts that have to happen, and just, I called it the perfect storm. I was on a walk the other day, and I was like thinking to myself, imagine all the things that have to come together just right to launch a product. Just coming from a simple idea. All these different things have to be in place for you to actually pull this off successfully. It ain't that easy. And I can tell you now, being on this side of it, I now have a greater appreciation for how hard it really is to start with an idea and then try to get something to market. And just, man, it takes way longer than you even think. So anyway, I wanted to share that. It's like, that's the biggest takeaway for me in this journey so far.
So Rob, you've been noodling, and I think in areas that allowed you to throw things against the wall and say, this works, this doesn't. Peter, you bring up a good point around caution of specialization. And I think a big takeaway for people watching this, thinking about maybe what they should work on, the first idea probably isn't it. And so that's a risk a lot of people do. This one, it's going to be easy. It's not. Two, this is a great idea, and I get a little bit of confirmation, and I decide to quit my job or spend a lot of time on it. Rob, you've been it's permeated for you, right? You've watched a lot of you've helped and watched a lot of other MGAs on the distribution side, so you've learned some lessons there, and probably just by nature of those conversations and your connections, you were able to both test, but then just have a intuitive idea of where maybe you should be going. So it's worth really spending some time on it. If you think you need to speak to 50 people, try and speak to 100 people, get negative feedback. get people to roll their eyes at your idea, poke holes in it, and see if you still feel after a week or so of negative feedback that's the correct path forward. So
yeah, you know what's amazing? I'll just say this one thing on that, Doug, because I think the more you put yourself out there, the more you get challenged, I think that makes you better. Because if you surround yourself with really smart people, and I have credibility in the market. So when I'm talking to an investor or somebody who's considering an investment in this, and Peter and I talked about how challenging it can be sometimes to, I mean, I just talked to like an investor recently who's like, I'm not investing in MGAs anymore. We're actually more insurtech focused. And I asked him a question. I'm like, well, why is that? And I'll be blunt with you guys. He basically, the only thing he said is, it is too challenging to work with the broker channel because inherently brokers are lazy, and it's too difficult to work in an environment where you are competing with 53 other markets and all they're doing is they're checking a box, and it's just this quote mentality. And I can't argue with that. I kind of agree with him. So I think the challenge for us moving forward is going to be, yes, do I have a lot of credibility, and do I have the authority and bring a lot of people around me who are like great partners? Yes, that brings a lot, but it still is a huge uphill battle to actually build that trust with an investor where they're willing to, invest in your vision and in your dream. And it's just not that easy to convince. So I agree with you, Doug. I think the more shots you take at the plate, the more you're going to find that one person who says, yes, I'm going to take a chance on you. I'm going to take a risk, and I believe in you. So, that hasn't happened just yet, but hopefully we'll get there.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing. And I think what's really interesting is because you are a coach, advisor, a person who consults, you're teaching a lot of people, Rob. Well, this is an interesting opportunity, whether it's exactly this idea that comes out, right, or if it morphs into something else, showing people that it can be done. And so it's kind of saying, hey, this is my methodology. Let me prove it out and show you as a case study, essentially, that it works. So that's and again, that doesn't mean that it's going to be exactly the same on day one as it is day 90 or day 365. You're gonna this thing will change in some way as it's pressure tested. Evolution is quite natural, but I think it's really interesting because it's going to give you an opportunity to show the world and say, hey, this is what I've preached, and this is how I executed on that. Look how it worked.
Or I'm going to have to swallow my ego if it doesn't work. I'm going to have a lot of explaining.
Okay. Well, it's going to make the way that what you're teaching later from the lessons learned even more powerful, even
100%.
better. So
it's a great spin there to look at it in a positive way. Either way, it's a win-win. It's a positive because you're gonna walk away learning something, or you're gonna be just a big success. Either way, it's good. If you don't take guess what? We're in the business of risk. If you don't take that risk, you're never gonna know, right? You're never gonna know the answer. You're gonna never know if you're gonna get that breakthrough and actually succeed. So why not? I always say, people go, why are you doing this? And I look at them and go, do I really need a big why? I say to them, why not? Why not?
And Rob, as you said, we're in the industry of risk, and our people are people who don't take the risk all the time. So it's interesting because there's going to be certain personalities, certain individuals who have been driven to push and do something a little bit more risky. And that's really what this show is about, is being able to take the risk, or again, I say this, not enough, dissuading people from taking the risk if they don't really think they're ready, or if they don't have a full understanding and appreciation of the risk that they're about to take. They shouldn't do it.
Yeah. Something Rob and I spoke about a couple of days ago was attracting the right kind of talent to early stage MGAs. I think we could almost do a session on that at some point, because, as you said, Dylan, it's an industry where getting people to commit to a risk or a new enterprise is a challenging one. And the caveat, I think in Europe is easier that we've spoken about than in the US, because the attraction, the risk is lesser perhaps to do that than it can be in the States for many reasons. And I just think there should be more of that. There should be more of our community that are willing. I almost say the opposite to what you said, Dylan. I think there should be more people who try things and get out there and commit to projects and go and join things like Rob's doing and give it a go.
Oh, then I either misspoke or you misunderstood. But one way or another, I do want people to take
I probably
the risk.
misunderstood.
That's okay. But I do want people to take the risk, but I don't want them to do it without understanding what they're getting into, right? Because just jumping out and saying, "Hey, I'm leaving my full-time job, and the only safety net I have very little plan, I have very little expertise, I have very little money, I have a very small network because I haven't worked on my network before I made the leap." Those are the risks that I don't want people to take, right? So we need to dissuade the people who have not yet done the work to be able to take the risk.
Let me translate between the American and the Englishman. You guys are on the same page. You just come from different cultures. All the things you just listed, an Englishman would be like, "Are you kidding me? I would never even consider any of those things." Like that was all baked in. No, it's good stuff, guys. We could go on for many hours. I know, chatting with Rob about this. But let's give him his time back. Wait, we have.
No, I mean, this group has talked about just not filmed, right? We've had these conversations for years.
We do have, not to talk about our next great guest while we have a guest on the show. Usually I try to wait till after.
Remember, Rob today is the best guest we've ever had, but tomorrow,
ever had.
The next
but
one.
Next week, and I only bring this up because Peter mentioned, we have Alex Bond coming on to talk about acquisition of talent for early stage MGAs. So Peter, bookmark that. I knew you would be asking about it. That's why I set that one up for us. Just the foresight I have is amazing. And speaking of foresight, I know exactly which question Peter is going to ask next.
Yeah. Well,
are we doing this?
Yeah, we're going to do it.
I think we should.
Robbie,
I think we should. I mean, all the credit.
20 times.
Yeah. And all the credit to the question goes to Rob. And a lot of the credit for this podcast, we should reiterate, goes to Rob.
We should,
he does a lot of work on it.
Yeah.
So thank you for all of that, Rob.
Or blame in this case, but yes.
Or blame. If you're not happy with anything to do with editing or format, yes, blame.
People are going to go to Rob and say, "Why did you not dissuade them of the risk of doing this show on all of their reputations?"
Yes, terrible reputation now.
Yeah. Rob, so you know what's coming. What do you see as your legacy?
Gosh, and you know what? I don't care how. I was not even prepared for this because I totally forgot this is.
Because he didn't actually watch the show. He has his employees check it out. But I get it. I understand.
And of course, I could cut this out anytime. No, I can answer that question. I can answer that question, Peter. I did a post yesterday, or I'm sorry, I did a post on Sunday on LinkedIn. And sometimes I just take a risk and just go, you know what? What am I thinking about? Like, what's on my heart? And what's on my mind? What do I want to share? And I'm going to actually take a spiritual approach here. And I'm going to just say that I've had on my whiteboard for the longest time, what would you do for the glory of God if you knew you could not fail? Like literally that is that simple. And then I realized to myself, I was on a walk the other day and I said, you know what? I'm asking myself the wrong question. And so I thought about that in more detail because the question it's posed is about myself. It's like, what would I do? And really what am I being called to do is the more appropriate question to ask. And I think that goes to legacy. Is what I want my legacy is did I follow that true calling of what I was called to do in that moment? And it might not be what I'm doing today. It might be something different tomorrow. But at the end of the day, if you're following that truth, if you're following that calling, it can only be for good. It can only be for the good of humanity. It can only be for the benefit of others. And so that's truly what I want my legacy to be, that whatever it is that I've pursued, I've really gone deep inside and followed a calling. And with that calling, it's always meant for serving the good of others and doing what's right. And so if there's anything, Peter, that would be a legacy that I'd want to walk away with in life, is just knowing that, yeah, I know, was Rob a good guy? Yeah, maybe, but not always. Not everyone has different opinions on that. Or was his business like make an impact on a lot of people? Yeah, it might have to some, but not others. But at the end of the day, did you follow your true calling? Whatever it is that you were called to do and who you were called to serve in that moment. And did you do it to the best of your ability and with that spirit in mind? And that's really what I'd want my legacy to be.
Very cool.
Nice.
Well, you're certainly doing God's work, putting up with us three knuckleheads. So I do appreciate that.
And Rob, I just realized that when we decide to finally kill off this show, which could be like 3 or 4 weeks from now, let's be honest.
Or it gets
nice.
killed off.
But
Not by
when
our
we
choice.
when we we get knocked off the air, when we do a final show, I think you have to come back on, and then you have to ask us all the same question. I think we
man,
we serve with the same thing.
I'd love it. I'd absolutely love it.
Yeah. Let's hope
yeah.
we're all old men then.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, since that's the last episode, we've gone down in flames. We're doing it shirtless. Everybody knows that.
I'm doing it bottomless, but yeah, it's fine.
Rob, it's a good reason to keep your workout regimen going.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I gotta live up to those high standards, and make everybody else look bad. I'm just kidding. Listen, I do want to thank all of you guys. I don't know that I would actually be here if I didn't know the three of you, and I mean that sincerely, because you guys have really made a positive impact on me, and have really influenced me in an amazing way. All the things that I've learned from all of your guests that's been on the show, in talking with each of you guys, and having that close relationship with you, is everything that this industry is supposed to be, and why we all like just kind of love getting together and building relationships, sharing ideas, and just doing cool things. I think at the end of the day, that's the thing that I took away from Mark Flippin, is he said, you know what? He's like, I said, Mark, I'm struggling with content. He goes, no, it's this easy. All you do is you just do cool things, and you just share content about those cool things you're doing. And he's like, you'll have a lot more fun doing it. And you'll have a lot more fun sharing your story and sharing that, rather than, all this other nonsense that we think we're supposed to share.
Yeah.
Well, my first question for Mark will be, who's his photographer? Because
who's his tailor?
And Taylor, right? We should know both of those things. That's
and his salonist. What's a hair cutter?
Stylist.
Yeah,
salonist.
You know what I want to know is, I don't think you can possibly bring more beautiful people together in a. I mean, do you ever see that picture with him and everybody in their workout gear? And I'm going, that's just not fair. Like, it's just not fair. Like, you have that many people on your team that, like, holy mo, it's amazing.
That's what Peter of us, me and Dylan, every day when he hops on with us.
And Peter has already been shirtless on LinkedIn. So again, pointed out by my wife of all people. So
well, that raises more questions than answers, doesn't it?
Good thing there's an ocean between you two.
Oh goodness.
All right, guys.
Rob.
Thanks again, guys. I appreciate it. It's an honor. It's a pleasure.
Thanks.
I'll see you guys again
Rob.
soon. All right.
Thanks, Rob. Don't edit too much of this, please. All right, bye-bye. That guy, good stuff. It's very kind to us.
I like how he was talking about an AI version of Doug, and I'm thinking about maybe if we just replace Doug with an AI version.
I've already replaced myself. This is not me.
You're definitely defined by like Grok Unhinged, not like a ChatGPT professional AI.
Yeah, no, I did some evil prompting. And Doug right now is playing Fortnite.
Awesome.
Yeah, and losing to a bunch of 14-year-olds, really getting his ass kicked.
Speaking of kids, Peter, I think that's the first time we've had a kid on the show. Maybe. Oh wait,
made a quick appearance, didn't he? Yeah.
Did Christy have one of her kids go by in the show once? In the background, I'm pretty sure.
Maybe.
I thought.
Maybe.
Maybe I'm misremembering. Okay.
Yeah, he's very mobile now, so he gets around. So occasionally
you didn't want to stop the show and maybe do a little introduction.
He hasn't actually said his first word yet, so maybe that could be on the age of the MGA.
Okay, well,
will it be?
Put him on your lap right now and see what we can do. See what we can do, Peter. Come on, let's do it live. First word.
Dylan, you were talking about all the great partners we had at that MGA. You didn't mention the crack team we had at our carrier, like the crack team of technologists and product person. You don't want to give some props to them.
I don't know who you're talking about at all. terrible products. Just yeah. Doug, you tease me so much. I
know you want to say more. Well, like that can be on our last episode when you're not worried about getting sued anymore.
That doesn't prevent you from being sued just because you're like, I'm off the air now.
Dylan, I have a law degree across the bar. Don't.
Why was I reviewing the contracts for that old MGA instead of you?
You're much better attorney than I ever was.
No degree here.
So we do have an equal caliber of guest coming on next with Alex Bond.
Wow,
equal to all of our other equally high caliber guests.
Nice. I'm looking forward to that one, and I'm really looking forward to the fact that we can hopefully air an episode with Alex Bond on it, because with Alex,
where we don't get drunk and shit on the city of Columbus.
No one did that. I don't know what you're talking about. No one did that. First of all, lower.com field was fantastic. The suite that we snuck into to film was fantastic.
The name has changed. It's no longer lower.com. And actually, I was chatting with Chris at Scout about this, and I said, "Can we just get a suite this time instead of having to break into one?" So he's seeing what he can work out for us.
Okay.
So we might actually be able to do a live show. Some suggestions were given.
No way we're doing live.
Not live, but a show in person.
Sure.
Suggestions were given. Do it before the happy hour starts, please.
Great suggestion.
So you guys are not 3 in when you start recording. A few others as well. Some notes. We are going to do some stuff with Chris. He's got some cool things brewing with the MGA programs that they'll be doing. So more to come on that. I suppose we should get to do some work. I have to post this. You guys put the responsibility on me to post today. It might get done. We'll see. Let's see what happens.
3 minutes, Doug. Take the 3 minutes. All right.
I like to, you can't rush an artist, Dylan.
I get it.
My LinkedIn posts are gold.
Yeah, we can tell by your massive following.
2 people. All right, guys. Have a nice day. Looking forward to seeing you soon.
Sounds good.
See you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.